She forgot the one place nobody ever checks last. Or maybe she just got lazy. Or arrogant. We'd been together 7 years. Married 4. No kids. 2 dogs. A condo with white walls and a Japanese maple on the balcony that she insisted would make it feel like a real home. I didn't understand trees. I understood her. Or I thought I did. That Sunday started like any other. Quiet. Unremarkable. She made coffee in the oversized mug with the chipped rim. The one I tried to throw away last year, but she fished out of the trash like it was sacred. She smiled. Kissed me on the cheek. Asked if I could run to the store for eggs. I should have seen it then, the quiet urgency in her voice. The way her fingers lingered on my shoulder just a beat too long, like she was stalling herself. But I didn't. I nodded, grabbed the keys, and left. It was 11:03 a.m. The market was 6 minutes away. I took my time. I didn't expect anything. I wasn't suspicious. I didn't even check my phone while I was out. I came home with a carton of eggs and a bag of her favorite granola. She was in the shower. Said she'd felt sweaty and needed to rinse off. Later that night, we sat on the couch. Watched reruns of a show she used to love before she outgrew it. She laughed at one scene. Genuinely. I remember that laugh. It felt like home. It was only after she fell asleep, her head on my chest, her hand tucked beneath her chin, that I picked up her camera. The one she never lets me touch. Said I smudged the lens. I was looking for the name of a filter she used once. That's all. The screen blinked to life. Battery low. I flipped through the recent shots. Flowers. Her breakfast. One of the dogs curled in the sun. Then, one photo. No timestamp on the camera itself, but I recognized the bedsheets. Ours. Wrinkled. Twisted. A pair of lace underwear discarded on the corner. A man's hand, rough and broad, resting on her ankle. Not mine. Not even close. No face. No body. Just a single frame that felt like a sucker punch to the chest. It was raw. Unfiltered. Her legs still half in motion. His hands still tightening. Like the camera had captured a moment not meant to be seen. Not meant for me. And then it disappeared. Right in front of me. Vanished. For a second, I thought I'd imagined it. Maybe I tapped the wrong button. But when I scrolled again, it was gone. A blank space where something had just lived. That's when I remembered. Her phone was linked to the camera. She always bragged about it. Said the sync was instant. Quicker than plugging it in. So I picked up her phone. It wasn't locked. It never is. She thinks passwords are paranoid. Photos. Albums. Nothing out of the ordinary. But I went to recently deleted. There it was. Buried beneath a string of breakfast shots and selfies. That single image. Dated, timestamped. Taken at 11:17 a.m. Deleted at 11:59. 42 minutes later. I checked the receipt from the store. I was in line at 11:55. She deleted it while I was paying for the eggs. My hands were shaking. I stared at the photo. I zoomed in. Not out of curiosity. Not to punish myself. I needed details. The way her knee bent toward the headboard. The watch on his wrist, black band, silver dial. The way her fingers clutched the sheet. There was no awkwardness. No hesitation. They didn't look new. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a lapse in judgment. This was routine. I looked at her. Sleeping like nothing had happened. Breathing soft. Innocent. Her cheek resting on the same chest that was collapsing inward. And still, I didn't say a word. Not that night. Not the next day. I pretended nothing had happened. I let her kiss me goodbye when she left for work. I took the dogs to the park. Made breakfast. Folded laundry. I even made dinner that night. Her favorite. Pesto with fresh basil. I needed time. I needed more than a photo. I needed the truth in a way she couldn't spin it. So I waited. And while she slept, I dug. Her phone. Her laptop. Her search history. She wasn't as careful as she thought. There were messages, yes. but coded, oblique, as if even she didn't trust him fully. Names never used. Times hinted at with emojis. But the patterns formed quickly. Monday afternoons. Thursday mornings. Every other Sunday when I was at the gym. Always short windows. Never long enough for anything but a single act, quick and secret. But the photo, it changed everything. It wasn't meant to be taken. Or maybe it was. Maybe he took it and she didn't know. Or maybe she did. Maybe she looked at it after I left, felt something stir guilt, maybe, and deleted it before she could think twice. But not fast enough. 42 minutes. That's how long it lived. Long enough for me to see it. Long enough to unravel everything. I watched her differently now. Not just suspiciously. Strategically. Because what she didn't know was that I'd already restored the photo, saved it to a hidden drive, and scheduled it to send. To myself. To her boss. To her mother. All set on a timer. Unless I stopped it. And right now, I didn't feel like stopping anything. I started with small changes. Shifts in routine subtle enough not to raise alarms. I canceled the gym on Sundays. Stopped leaving for errands without her knowing. I'd wake up early just to watch her from the kitchen window as she left the house, noting the way her gait shifted when she thought she wasn't being observed. Lighter. Rehearsed. She wore the same perfume every time she met him. Not the one she used around me. The vanilla one I bought her in Vienna, but the jasmine blend her sister once said made her smell dangerous. That should have been my first clue. I used to think she wore it for confidence. Now I knew it was a signal. A calling card. The more I watched, the more I noticed. She never looked me in the eye for long. She laughed harder at her phone than she ever did at me. And she touched me less, like my skin was becoming something foreign. A place her hands used to live, but didn't belong anymore. Wednesday night. I lay beside her, the photo flashing behind my eyelids again and again. Her ankle in his grip. Her mouth barely visible, parted slightly in some expression I couldn't place. Pleasure? Surprise? I didn't want to know, but my mind replayed it anyway. She stirred beside me, rolled over, whispered something soft into my chest. I didn't catch the words. I think it was, "I love you." It made me feel sick. The next morning, I took the day off work. Told her I had a headache. She kissed my forehead, her lips cool and dry. Then she dressed like she always did on Thursdays. Simple blouse, heels, a touch of mascara she only wore on certain days. Said she had meetings all morning. I waited 5 minutes after the door clicked shut, then followed. She didn't go to work. I watched her from across the street as she parked by the bookstore off 6th. Not unusual on its own. She liked the place. But she didn't go in. She just sat there, on her phone, nervous, smiling. Then, 12 minutes later, a black car pulled in beside her. A man stepped out, button-down shirt, slacks, watch with a black band and silver dial. Him. She didn't greet him with restraint. She didn't even look around. She just opened her door and let him in. Like it was theirs. Like this wasn't borrowed time. They didn't stay parked. They drove off, together. I followed at a distance, heart pounding so loud I thought it would crack the windshield. They didn't go to a hotel. They went to a neighborhood across town. A row of rentals with old trees and nosy neighbors. He had a key. She waited until he opened the door. Then she slipped inside. The garage shut behind them. I didn't go in. I didn't need to. Instead, I took a photo. Their cars parked side by side. Time-stamped. Geotagged. Then I drove home and started printing everything. The original photo. Their messages. The screenshot of her calendar with yoga scheduled at the same time she was at his place. I laid it all out on the dining room table like puzzle pieces. By the time she got home that evening, hair brushed smooth, makeup reapplied, the faint scent of jasmine scrubbed poorly beneath her wrists. I had already removed the photo from her recently deleted. Just enough time had passed. She'd assume it was gone forever. And I'd never mention it. I'd never confront her. Never ask the question that might give her power over the answer. No, I wanted something deeper, something quieter, more final. Because what she didn't understand was that betrayal doesn't end in fire. It ends in silence. The next few days passed like we were in a play. She smiled at dinner. I kissed her goodnight. We folded towels and walked the dogs and planned a fake weekend getaway we'd never take. She still moaned in her sleep, still held my hand when she woke up panicked from dreams I couldn't hear. I wondered if she knew, if part of her sensed I'd seen too much, if the photo haunted her the way it haunted me. But if it did, she never showed it. Sunday came, the day she usually asked for alone time to journal at the park. I watched from the hallway as she left. I didn't follow this time. I didn't need to. I already had what I needed. Instead, I opened the manila envelope I'd hidden behind the laundry shelf. Inside were the originals, the photo, the messages, the call logs, the timestamped locations. On top of the pile, I placed a handwritten note. Just one line. 42 minutes. I slid it back in the envelope, licked the seal, wrote her name on the front in ink, so black it almost looked wet, and I placed it on her pillow. When she came back, I didn't say a word. I didn't even look up from the book I wasn't reading. She kissed the top of my head like always, said she was going to take a nap. I listened to her walk into the bedroom. I heard the mattress dip, the rustle of the envelope, then nothing. For a long time, not even a breath. Then I heard it, a sharp inhale, a sound like paper hitting the floor, and then a noise I'd never heard from her before. Not a scream, not a sob, just a dry, hollow gasp, like she was choking on the truth. I didn't move, didn't speak, didn't go to her, because now she knew I knew. And that was only the beginning. She didn't come out of the bedroom for over an hour. I sat at the kitchen table, eating toast I couldn't taste. The envelope was gone. I knew the moment I heard the soft creak of the door, the shuffle of paper being gathered. I imagined her kneeling on the floor, collecting the wreckage with shaking hands, trying to piece it back together like it hadn't already been burned into her skin. When she finally emerged, her face was different. Not tear-streaked, not flushed with shame. Blank. Her eyes avoided mine. She moved mechanically, poured water, sipped it, stared into the sink like it held a lifeline. She opened her mouth once, then closed it. No apology, no denial, just silence. It was the closest thing to honesty she'd ever given me. That night, she slept facing the wall. The next morning, her movements were rehearsed. Her hand brushed my back when she passed, but there was no weight in it, no warmth, just muscle memory. She didn't mention the envelope. She didn't ask questions. She just pretended, badly, that she still lived in a world where I didn't know. I let her, because the moment she spoke it aloud, this entire facade would collapse, and I needed her to hold the illusion a little longer. The next day, her phone rang. She was in the shower. The screen lit up beside me on the counter. Lucas, work. I let it ring. Then I opened her contacts. His name was buried under a list of unremarkable entries. No photos, no emoji, just Lucas. There were only 3 messages. That alone was its own kind of lie. So I went deeper. Hidden in a separate app she'd downloaded 6 months ago, disguised as a budgeting tool, was everything. I'd never heard of it. It required a passcode, but she was predictable. I tried our anniversary, then her mother's birthday. On the 3rd try, it opened. There he was. Not Lucas, not even close. Eli, a name that had never once come out of her mouth. A face I recognized now from other things. The texts were sparse but loaded. References to their routine. A beach house listing in a shared message. Screenshots of flights. Pictures, blurred, shaky, of the 2 of them together. One in a car. One in a mirror. One in our bed. The one she had deleted wasn't an outlier. It was part of a series. Most were cropped. Faceless. but in one, her reflection was caught in the background. A smear of lipstick. A wrist twisted around the headboard. Hers. She wasn't afraid of getting caught. She was documenting it. For him. That was the part that made my stomach turn, not the act itself, but the preservation of it. Like she wanted to relive the moments. As if I never existed in the spaces between. I sent the entire archive to myself. Then deleted the app, clearing its cache, resetting its permissions. If she checked later, it would look like it had glitched, like the software broke. Something she wouldn't question. She trusted tech more than she trusted people. That night, I asked her casually if she wanted to go out for dinner. She blinked, said yes like it hurt. At the restaurant, she ordered wine, though she rarely drank with me. She smiled too much, talked too fast. Every sentence a landmine she was trying to step around. I watched her fingertips, the way they trembled when she lifted the glass, the way she wiped them against her napkin between bites. I saw the moment she realized I was studying her. She looked up, fork paused midair. What? She asked. I shrugged. You always touch your necklace when you're nervous. Did you know that? She glanced down. Her hand flew to her throat. No necklace. She wasn't wearing it. It was the one he gave her. The tiny gold locket I'd seen once in a blurry mirror selfie from his phone. She wore it during the day and tucked it away before coming home. She hadn't worn it since the envelope. She knew I knew. We sat in silence for the rest of the meal. A few nights later, I left my phone out while I showered. A test. I saw her eyes flick to it when I walked in. She didn't touch it, but she stared at it like it might explode. She was unraveling, but she wasn't running. That confused me. She wasn't pleading, but she wasn't packing either. She was staying, pretending, and I couldn't figure out why, until I got the email. Not from her, from him. Subject, you don't know the full story. Sender, e.connors@healyconsulting.net. Just one line. She was supposed to leave you a month ago. I sat frozen. Then another email came. A photo. Her suitcase, our guest room. Packed. Dated March 17th. Same day, she said she was working late. Then a screenshot. A message from her. He's not ready yet. He's fragile. I don't want to hurt him more than I already have. It wasn't love. It wasn't regret. It was pity. She'd stayed because she thought I couldn't handle the truth. The betrayal I could have stomached. The condescension? That's what split something open. I called the number listed under the signature. I didn't expect him to answer. But he did. His voice was younger than I expected. Confident. Arrogant. Eli speaking. You're not good at hiding things, I said. Silence. Then, is this him? Not anymore. Click. That was it. No apology. No threat. No attempt to lie. Just a quiet admission cloaked in silence. The next day, she wore the necklace again. I didn't say a word. Because I wasn't interested in confrontation. I was interested in precision. She started locking the bathroom door. It was subtle at first. A turn of the knob when she showered. A pause before she emerged. Her phone always came with her now. Held face down, screen dim, notifications silenced. I heard her typing behind that door sometimes. Soft taps, rapid bursts, followed by long stretches of silence. She thought I didn't notice. She thought I couldn't handle it. And that made me dangerous. I'd stopped reacting. No more passive-aggressive questions. No more glances at her phone. No more name drops or subtle tests. I let her feel safe again. Or at least, I let her feel in control of the damage. That's when she got bold. She suggested we repaint the bedroom. It came out of nowhere, Sunday morning, over coffee. I think the walls are making me feel boxed in, she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. We should freshen it up. I looked at her. She smiled like it was nothing. But I remembered something else. A photo. One of the mirror shots from Eli's archive. It had been taken in our bedroom. Her hair tied up, shirt off, one hand holding the phone, the other pressed against the wall. That wall. Same shadow. Same chipped molding near the baseboard. She wanted it gone. She wasn't repainting for aesthetics. She was covering the evidence. I agreed, of course. Even offered to pick up the paint. She smiled too easily, like I'd passed another unspoken test. Later that day, she left to visit her sister. The visit was real. Her sister posted a photo from their brunch, a glass of wine in her hand, my wife leaning in with a smile too wide, too bright. The caption said, "My favorite liar." Still glowing. I don't think she meant it the way I read it. But I printed the photo anyway. Taped it under the bathroom sink where my wife wouldn't find it. Not yet. While she was gone, I moved through the house like a stranger. I wore gloves. Turned off location services on every device. Checked the vents, the light sockets. She wasn't recording me. Not yet, but I needed to be sure. Then I installed the recorder. Just one. Not in the bedroom. Not in the bathroom. In the hallway. Right where she made her calls. I didn't even check it for the first 3 days. I let it sit. Let her relax. Let her start to believe she had won something. When I finally listened, I heard this. Her voice, low and tight. Not scared. Cautious. "No, he hasn't said anything since. Not a word. Yes, I'm sure. If he knew everything, he'd have burned the place down by now." Then silence. Then laughter, soft, private. Not hers. His. They weren't planning to disappear. They were planning for me to fade out. Quietly. With dignity. With just enough plausible deniability that she could still keep the house, the dogs, the narrative. She'd rewritten the story already. And I was the ghost. But ghosts don't just vanish. They haunt. That night, I made her dinner. Spaghetti. Garlic bread. Her favorite wine chilled, the way she used to like it before things got clinical. She walked into the kitchen barefoot. "You're being sweet," she said, suspicious. I shrugged. "I missed this." She paused, eyes narrowing. "Missed what?" "This," I said, gesturing around. "Us." The quiet. She smiled, but her shoulders stayed tense. The meal passed in silence. She asked about my day. I told her I took the dogs to the vet. Which was true. She didn't ask for proof. She never did. That was the flaw. She never thought I was dangerous. Later, I left a note on her pillow. No threats. No names. No confrontation. Just a single question. "Do you feel clean when you wash his hands off you?" She didn't speak to me for 2 days. Not a word. But she didn't leave. And that was when I understood something deeper. She wasn't staying because she pitied me. She wasn't even staying for comfort. She was staying because she thought she was in control. That this ending, whatever shape it took, was still hers to decide. I let her believe it. Even when I saw her whispering into her phone behind a closed door. Even when I caught her rewriting her work schedule, creating gaps wide enough to disappear into. Even when she used her work laptop to book a flight to New York, one way, with a return marked pending. She was preparing for the collapse. She just didn't know I'd already pulled the supports. The key was the lease. It wasn't in her name. The utilities. The bank account. The mortgage. All me. She didn't check. Never once questioned the paperwork she signed 3 years ago. She'd built her lies on land she didn't own. So I started moving the money. Not all of it. Just enough. Shifted from our joint accounts into a trust under my name. Legally airtight. Invisible to her unless I told her where to look. Then I filed the notice. Not divorce. Not yet. Property separation. It gave me control of the home. Legally. Quietly. She'd be served in 3 days. She wouldn't understand it at first. Would think it was a glitch. A clerical mistake. She wouldn't see my fingerprints on it. But I left one anyway. A sticky note on the fridge. 3 days. That's all I'm giving you. That night, she didn't come home. No message. No call. Just silence. I waited. I let the recorder run. At 2:43 a.m., the hallway picked up footsteps. The door unlocked. She crept in. Thought I was asleep. She wasn't alone. His voice was soft, assuring. He's probably gone. He wouldn't just wait around after all that. She laughed under her breath. He's weak. He's always been weak. They didn't go to the bedroom. They went to the guest room. I waited 10 minutes. Then I knocked. Once. A pause. Then her voice tight, small. Jacob. I didn't answer. I just turned and walked to the master, closed the door behind me, and waited. The game was no longer about catching her. She'd already confessed. Now it was about making her choose how to drown. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did she. I heard them whispering, heard the creak of the guest bed, heard the occasional silence that meant they were listening, checking if I'd moved. But I didn't. I stayed in our bedroom, my bedroom now door locked, lights off, eyes open. At 5:02 a.m., I heard him leave. Not a word spoken. Just the front door closing too gently, like they thought silence could erase the evidence. Like I wasn't already awake. She didn't try to come in. I rose slowly, moved through the house like it was a crime scene. Because it was. Every room carried some trace of him now. A half-empty water glass on the coffee table. One of his black socks by the entryway. A faint scent of aftershave in the hallway. I picked it all up, threw it in a plastic bag, set it by the door. Not to confront her with it. To remind myself this happened. That it was real. By 8 a.m., she emerged. Hair pulled back. Hoodie zipped. Her face pale but composed. You're up early, she said, as not quite meeting mine. So are you. A pause. A flicker of something behind her eyes, guilt or strategy, I couldn't tell. I didn't want to make things worse. I just stared at her. Then why is he still leaving socks in my house? She flinched, but recovered quickly. He was helping me pack. You didn't pack. Another pause. She was unraveling in real time. I didn't get that far. No, I said. You didn't. She sat at the edge of the kitchen table, like she used to when we were happy. Like that meant something. We need to talk. We don't, I said. You've already spoken more than enough. Just not to me. Her hands clasped and unclasped in her lap. I didn't want it to happen like this. But it did happen like this. I stepped closer, voice low, even. He was in my house. In our bed. In that photo you deleted 42 minutes after you took it. You knew exactly what you were doing. You just thought I wouldn't find it. She froze. That was the first time I'd said it out loud. The photo. I watched the air leave her lungs. I didn't mean for you to see that, she whispered. I know. She looked up. You've known this whole time. I nodded once. Her eyes welled, but no tears fell. Then why didn't you say anything? I leaned against the wall. Because I needed you to keep lying. Why? So I could see who you really were when you thought you were safe. Her mouth opened. Nothing came out. I've filed for property separation, I continued. The house, the assets, the accounts, you don't own any of it anymore. You'll be served today. Panic flickered. What are you talking about? You can't just. I can, I said. And I did. She stood. You're overreacting. I laughed. Once. Short and sharp. You invited another man into our home. Into our bed. You recorded it. You wore his necklace while sleeping beside me. And you call this overreacting? I didn't plan any of this. Yes, you did. You made time for it. You coordinated it. You hid it in an encrypted folder with a passcode. You wore his perfume and deleted the evidence and still came home to me like I was a layover between affairs. Don't insult me further by pretending it was spontaneous. She swallowed. He was just. Don't. My voice cut through the room like glass. Don't try to frame this like he was some accident. You didn't trip and fall into his bed. You chose him. Again and again. Silence. I was going to tell you, she said finally. I just didn't know how. I tilted my head. You had a month. That suitcase in the guest room? You packed it, then unpacked it. Because you realized he wasn't your exit plan. I was. You were never going to leave until I forced your hand. She moved toward me, slow. Please. No. I stepped back. You don't get to beg. You don't get to plead when you've already erased the parts of me that mattered. She looked down, defeated. Then something in her hardened. So what now? You think you've won? This isn't about winning, I said. It's about you learning that not all damage is loud. Some of it sits quietly, waiting, watching, and then it destroys you all at once. Her lips parted. You're bluffing. Am I? I reached into the drawer beside me, pulled out a thick envelope, dropped it on the table. She didn't touch it. You don't know what's in there, I said. But you should. Copies of the photos. Your messages. The bank transfer from your secret account to his. The plane ticket you bought for two. It's all there. Her knees buckled slightly, but she didn't sit. And the best part? I smiled, cold. I sent a backup to your boss. Marked anonymous. Sent another to your mother. And one more to myself, just in case anything happens to the original. You're insane, she hissed. No. I'm thorough. She stepped back. You wouldn't do that. I already did. She stared at the envelope like it was radioactive. Leave, I said simply. She didn't move. You have until noon. Still, she hesitated. Then I leaned in, my voice soft as thread. Or I show him the other photo. The one where your wedding ring is still on. Her face cracked. Real grief, finally. Not for me. For the image of herself she couldn't keep intact anymore. She left 20 minutes later. Didn't slam the door. Didn't say goodbye. Just silence. Afterward, I sat alone on the edge of the bed. The dogs curled at my feet. The house smelled faintly of jasmine. I lit a match. Held it over the envelope. Then I didn't drop it. Instead, I walked to the filing cabinet. Locked it away. Because I didn't need to watch it burn. She already had. The house felt different after she left. Not emptier. Just still. Like the air had been holding its breath for months and was finally allowed to exhale. I didn't touch her side of the bed. Didn't wash the sheets. Didn't throw away the perfume bottles or the hair ties she left curled like abandoned punctuation on the bathroom counter. I let them sit. I wanted the evidence. Not of her, but of myself. The version of me who lived under her shadow. Who knew, and waited anyway. That version needed to linger. Just long enough to make sure he'd never come back. She didn't message me. Not that day. Not the next. Not after the email was delivered to her boss. Not after the call I placed to the leasing office where Eli's beach house was sitting in pre-approval status, under both their names. They needed a character reference to seal it. I gave one. Do you trust people who forge dates behind their spouse's back and use embezzled funds from a joint account? I wouldn't. The application was denied. No explanation required. I didn't hear from Eli, either. I imagined their last conversation, her voice tight with panic, his retreat clean and cowardly. Men like him don't fight battles they didn't initiate. They vanish. She probably begged him to stay. Cried. Blamed me. I doubt he cared. The days after blurred. I worked. Walked the dogs. Took long showers with the water too hot, as if it could scald off the last traces of her. My phone stayed quiet. No more fake meetings on her calendar. No more photos half-cropped. No more empty laughter muffled through a bathroom door. And yet, I didn't feel victorious. Just level. Like the house had returned to the shape it was meant to be. A week later, I received an envelope. No return address. Handwritten. Familiar curves in the ink. Inside, a single photograph. Us. From years ago. On our honeymoon. She was holding my hand, eyes crinkled from the sun, smiling like she meant it. Before him. Before she learned how to lie in lowercase. There was no note. Just the photo. As if it could say something words couldn't. I didn't tear it. I didn't burn it. I slid it into the back of a drawer and let it rest there like a relic. Because the past isn't something you destroy. It's something you bury. Carefully. Consciously. so it doesn't come clawing back through the floorboards. I began erasing her from the rest of my life in small, mechanical steps. The utilities were put in my name. The joint account dissolved. Her forwarding address was processed, some apartment across town, near the edge of the city, where the streets don't remember names. Her name came off the lease. The Wi-Fi. The insurance. The silence stayed. I liked it. It taught me how to breathe again. 2 weeks passed. Then a message. No greeting. No apology. Just this. Do you think I was always like this? I read it 3 times. Did she want permission to feel like the victim? A tether back to something salvageable? I typed, then deleted, typed again, and sent nothing. That was the answer. Some betrayals don't deserve the dignity of analysis. They just are. They exist like weather, sudden, violent, and indifferent to your preparedness. You survive them not by understanding, but by outlasting. She texted again a few days later. You don't have to forgive me, but I need you to know I loved you, even if I was bad at it. Still, I didn't reply, because I wasn't interested in her capacity for love. I was interested in her absence, and it was growing more beautiful every day. I moved the bed, repainted the walls she once tried to erase. Not beige, not soft gray. I chose a deep, heavy green, dense enough to absorb every secret she whispered against it. I bought a new dining set, threw out the wine glasses, replaced the chipped coffee mug with a clean, simple one. White. No cracks. No memories. And then I changed the locks. Not because I thought she'd come back. Because I didn't want her to. Months passed. Spring cracked open the windows. The light shifted. My dogs started sleeping closer to my side of the bed again. For a while, they'd lingered near the door, like they were waiting for the sound of her keys. That stopped. One night, I sat out on the balcony beneath the Japanese maple she planted, the one I never understood. It had grown wild, spilled out of its pot like it was trying to run. I let it. I didn't trim it. I didn't tame it. I let it become whatever it wanted to be. Just like me. I don't know where she is now. I don't look her up. I don't wonder how she's doing. The photo she tried to delete, 42 minutes after she took it, still sits in a folder on a drive in my desk drawer. Not for leverage. Not for revenge. Just so I never forget how quietly a person can carve you open while smiling over coffee. That's the part that sticks. Not the betrayal. Not the affair. The casual cruelty of it. The fact that she was wearing my T-shirt when she picked up the camera. The fact that she kissed me goodbye before deleting the photo. The fact that, for 42 minutes, she let the truth exist. That was her mistake. She should have deleted it sooner. Thanks for watching. If this story pulled you in, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next confession. Until next time, take care and watch who you trust.